Yo. Welcome back. This is going to be a little bit of a different video. Happy Father's Day to everybody. My name is Felix, former basketball Millie winner. But today, it's about the dads. And I'm going to have a few guests on after myself. But I'd like to start it off with me so I can get kind of the flow of asking and myself and others the questions and whatnot. But I'm going to start with myself for the first question. My favorite dad moment or favorite part about being a dad. So mine is every time I walk into the house after a long day's work, I still work, 10 to 12 hours a day. I come home, the kids run up to me, tell me they love me and they miss me, give me big hugs. It's one of my favorite things about being a dad is just honestly coming home from a hard day's work and getting surrounded with love. That's my own personal opinion about that, but there's other great things about being a dad, but that is my personal favorite moment and experience of being a dad. How do I deal with being a dad and dealing with playing baseball? As you guys know, it's a game where you have to kind of focus and whatnot. So and if you do a lot of them, it's a lot of time. Each one takes about an hour, and if you max, that's 150 hours of the of the time you got to do it. You got to make time. And so right after the kids zone down is when I go. The first year when I won it, I was doing a fast, and then I would do a slow, cut that time off in half. My kids are a little bit older now. I can usually they don't require as much attention these days, but it has gotten easier to do mainly fast drafts. What was it called? Yeah, that's pretty much about it. Like nothing too crazy. I do like to. I don't like to try to do too many at once because it's a lot of stress. And you don't want to put too much stress on the body and make it too tough. So, and then finally, so yeah, this is why I was like, these are gonna be pretty short. I didn't want to bother everybody with these long videos, so I was thinking this might be short. So my favorite dad joke. When does a joke turn into a dad joke? When it becomes apparent. That's that one I got off the internet. My favorite regular dad joke is what's brown and sticky? A stick. Yeah. Kids love that one. They think I'm absolutely silly. So, all right, yeah. So next, I don't know the exact. Well, I do know the exact order, but just in case something happens and pops up, as we are fathers and stuff happens. So next up is we'll have on. The next verse will be up. All right. Alrighty, I'm back here with James, Mr. Eagles himself. How are we doing today?
Hey, I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. All right, so the first question is your favorite part about being a dad or your favorite moment of being a dad?
Oh man, just
However you want to answer it, it works.
my favorite moment or favorite.
Part about being a dad, one or the other, or both if you want to.
I mean, we have 4 kids, so
Yeah.
yeah, ages from 8 to 17. And I mean, I love when they're a baby. I love that stage, but now like I have like a couple teenagers in my house, and it's amazing. Like we can do anything now as a family. We can go all out on a hike together, and anything. We don't have to worry about a straggler around there. Like so now we're in a perfect spot right now. So anytime we get to spend time together, that's the most important. Weekends are a big deal for us, so it's always I try to focus no work, nothing. It's just on family time, and we really enjoy our weekends together. And usually a lot of that time's at the hockey rink, and we might be I mean, we're probably at the hockey rink 5 or 6 days a week. So and there's no rinks close to us, so it's always a lot of time in the car with the kids too. So you really, as a dad, you really get to know the kids, and hopefully they look back on that. Like I know my dad, that he would skip out of work early, take me to my games and things like that, and you can't really beat that. Just having that time together, no matter what it is you're doing. So yeah, anytime I get to spend time with them uninterrupted.
Yeah, and you're in the car, so there's not like usually the great service or anything, so you just get a lot of attention to one another. So that's good.
Yeah. Like we like to take a lot of vacations, and we play.
Yeah, I know you took after you won one of the tournaments. You guys went down to Disney World, so that was pretty cool. Or Disneyland, I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, my kids are pissed that I haven't won anything big in the last year or two, so that they're ready for a big family trip again. Just so we buy $20 pretzels,
Yeah. All right. So the next thing is, how do you deal with being a best ball player and being a dad at the same time? Because sometimes you're on the clock, and sometimes how do you deal with dealing with each subject?
I mean, it's pretty easy, right? That's why. That's why I do best ball, because fantasy football I love. I love every aspect of it, but I started redraft. I started like all those kind of drafts, and then I went to dynasty, and then I was doing like 10 dynasty leagues, and I couldn't manage trades.
It was a lot of work doing this, and
and then I find best ball, and I was like, oh man, I can work full time. I can have a full time family and be a full time dad, and then I can draft 1,000, 2,000 teams, and it works for me. So. And a big part of that actually is having a family. You got to hustle for like some side incomes and things like that to be able to support your family. I was fortunate enough to have my wife stay home with the kids, and like she started working a little bit now, but having a full-time job. And then the best ball side of it was almost another full-time job. But it was a full-time job that I loved and enjoyed, and I wish I could only do that, but at the same time, the hobby kind of turned into a way to help the family.
Right.
The way I felt I could be a better parent, a better father, to be able to, and honestly, like I've won a bunch of money in best ball, and all that money just goes back to the family.
Just back in the family / whatever we need / more best ball tournaments at the same token.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we need to buy a new fridge, or need a dryer.
Yes.
Put new windows in the house, or like kids have a dentist appointment, or the kids have this.
It's always something.
Yeah, so basically, it's just a means to kind of supplement income and to support the family. Without best ball, there's a lot of things we wouldn't be able to do as a family. So that's super important.
Yeah. I think the first time I won 50K was like, oh, I bought a new fridge, and we were having my second daughter. I was like, oh, I guess we're buying a new car so she can fit in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like pretty much, you always find something to do with the winnings. There's never a shortcoming of that. All right, the last little thing is, what is your favorite dad joke, if you have one?
Favorite dad joke? I don't know. I'm from Canada. I'm pretty sarcastic.
Okay.
I don't think my kids get half my jokes, and they just think I'm annoying most of the time.
Yeah.
So, more probably with like a drier sense of humor.
That's awesome. That's okay.
I don't think I have a specific joke.
No, you're fine. I had to Google one earlier. I'm like, when does a dad become a joke? When it becomes apparent. So. Yeah. That was just off the cuff. I didn't prep anybody, obviously. So.
My kids actually tell tons of bad dad jokes. So.
Oh yeah, it's popular right now. I don't know why. All right. Well, thank you for coming on and telling me all. Oh, did you want to shout out to your own father or Happy Father's Day to them? Or
I mean, I don't know. My dad never watched anything, but he's back in Canada. I mean, basically, I think I'm the crazy hockey dad just because my dad, he would always he worked shift work, 12-hour shifts. But he would drop anything. He'd sneak out of work or whatever to get to my games and whatnot. And even my kids now, I kind of take the same, like my daughter's in cross country track, my other daughter's in gymnastics, has competitions, and then my two boys are both in travel hockey. Like I'm taking time off work, and I'm trying to not miss any of their things. But I owe all that to my own dad. I mean, he kind of showed me the way. And then to this day, our relationship's super strong.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, to juggle 4 kids and try to
I can't imagine. I struggle with 2. I can't imagine 4. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then they're almost getting to the age where I can let them kind of work for me and draft my own teams. Right?
That's what we're doing. We're prepping our kids to be the next version of the best ball drafters.
Yeah. Pretty soon I'll be having like a max 750 entries in best ball. Look out.
That's awesome. I appreciate you again coming on. This is awesome. Yep.
Happy Father's Day to you too.
Thank you. And I'm back with Bradley Salter, the head honcho at Fantasy Football Plus Network. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Felix. I feel like I've been MIA from the video streets on the best Fantasy Football Plus Network. Life has been lifing, so I've been more behind the scenes and everything. But player profiler stuff, I try to get in once a week. It's just been the kids and the family and everything that's been taking from that type of time. And we're also at the end of the school year, and there's like yesterday we had the high school graduation I had to go to and shake the hands and kiss the babies and wish all the seniors well. So it's been a pretty busy time. So hopefully in a couple weeks things will slow down a little bit and I'll be able to hop on a little bit more. But thanks for inviting me to my own network.
Yeah, no problem. I'm actually doing this over on me, but it's okay.
No, it's okay.
But it's all good. This is awesome. Like I'm glad to have you over here, and we're just doing a quick Father's Day get together with all the people. And the first question I have is, what is your favorite part about being a father, or moment that made you excited to be a father?
I have to tell the story when my first daughter was born. It was, in 2016, summer 2016, and it's Father's Day. And we're having a Father's Day dinner, barbecue. My in-laws are hosting it. It's a great time. They've got a hot tub and some great food, and it's also Game 7 of the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors. And I know I'm going to be up late for this game because I'm a Cavaliers fan. And I've been a Cavaliers fan since the Darius Miles days, since the DeJuan Wagner days, pre-LeBron James. And so I remember the day when LeBron was drafted, and I wrote, when I was in 5th grade, I think I wrote I think LeBron is the best person ever project. It was great. So all of this youthful fandom has accumulated into this moment of like, I need a nap before this game. So I'm laying on the couch and I'm just dozing off. And I don't realize it at the time, but my wife starts to have contractions.
Oh, no.
So I wake up on the couch and the game's about to start. And I look outside and my wife is outside and she has her hands on the hot tub outside, like just in a posture. And I could tell like something's a little different. And so I pop my head up. I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, well, I'm in labor. And you're going to probably have to start getting things ready for us to go. Because, we're 10 days away from the due date. So we weren't unprepared. But it was like, okay, like this is a little early.
Right.
So the game starts. Game 7 starts. And I have it on the TV while like I'm also putting things in the go bag to go at my in-laws' house. And I decide, you know what? I'm going to try to get this game on my phone while we're driving to the hospital. Hospital's 25, 30 minutes away. I can't miss this game. This is the most important game in my life. This is Game 7 of the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Golden State Warriors, who were 73-9. And the Cavaliers were down 3-1. And at no point had a 3-1 team ever come back from that deficit in NBA Finals history. So this is unheard of, unprecedented. Game 7 in Golden State. LeBron is fighting for his legacy because he's already lost one championship to the Warriors because Kelly Olynyk like dislocated Kevin Love's shoulder, and Kyrie Irving fractured his kneecap the previous year. Like all of the bad luck. And so it's like, this has to be the year. So it's Game 7, and I have it on my phone as I'm driving my wife, who is in active labor, to the hospital. And we arrive at the hospital. I still have the phone on while I'm watching the game. I make sure I bring my charger so it's plugged in. We're here. We're at the hospital. And she's going through it. The contractions are increasing. The midwife takes us back. All of it. I'm just there. And like, I'm in my own world. This is Game 7. I know my wife is in labor and I'm having my first child, but it's Game 7. I mean, it's Game 7. It's actively happening right now.
Right.
So my wife, you know, Lord knows when she's actually going to give birth. So finally, you know, it gets to be the fourth quarter, and it's a really close game. And you know, I'm starting to get real nervous because it's not only is it a close game, it's a low scoring game. So every point matters. It's not just like, oh, they've been streaky. Oh, they've been hitting threes left and right. No, it was, the final score ended up being like 93-89. Like, it was a very close, low scoring game for a 73-9 Golden State Warriors team. So I remember where I was when the LeBlock happened live. I watched that, the greatest block in NBA Finals history. And then the Kyrie Irving shot over Steph Curry to put the nail in the coffin. And just everything erupted in my heart and my soul when the Cavaliers won the championship in Game 7. It is 11 o'clock at night, and I'm hooting and hollering down the hospital hallways because they wouldn't have me in the room while my wife is in labor and I'm watching the game. Like, it couldn't work. So I'm hooting and hollering down the hallway, and the nurses are popping their heads out of the room like, what's going on? Did your wife have the baby? And I said, no, but the Cavaliers won the championship. And the poor Ann Arbor, Michigan nurses had no care about Cleveland, Ohio sports fandom. They were just like, well, this guy, he's being loud at 11 o'clock at night while all the poor mothers who'd given birth, you know, are trying to get some sleep. But about 4 hours later, my first daughter was born, and it was great. It was awesome. I felt I had my Cavaliers shirt on while I'm rocking her. It's phenomenal.
Start better than that. It doesn't start better than that. Couldn't
start better than that. And then our family came in when, you know, we came home from the hospital. My sisters and I all watched the parade. It was a monumental moment for me, and I will never forget that. Just tied to that championship. Not football. Yeah, it's tied to the Cavaliers championship.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I got some Cavaliers bobbleheads over there. I've got some championship banners down here in my den. So yeah, we are go Cavs. That's awesome. This is great. That's my first memory as a, you know, my daughter had been birthed and the Cavaliers had won a championship. So there you go.
That is pretty freaking cool. All right. Second question. How do you feel, or how do you deal with doing best ball and still being an inclusive parent?
Slow draft.
Just slow drafted, yeah. Because not everybody knows Bradley here. He does have quite an array of children now. He has, I think, five. Yeah, you got five kiddos now.
Five.
I can't imagine
under. 5, 8, and under.
I can't imagine it's easy to hit.
As they say in the best ball streets, I don't miss.
Only goals, baby. Only goals. Man, yeah. So I can't imagine you're doing too many fast drafts. You're not gonna be able to max a tournament doing fast drafts. And I remember because I had 2, and it was pretty darn hard with 2 under 3 doing fast drafts. So I was always trying to manage doing 1 fast, 1 slow. So are you fit more slows, or are you half and half, or are you just getting them to them whenever you can get to them?
Usually the fast drafts are tied to podcasts.
Okay.
And the slows are literally everything else. So if it's Drafters, DraftKings, if it is Underdog Fantasy now in Michigan, thank goodness, and of course FFPC. So those are the 4 sites that I play on, and the FFPC ones are fewer in volume, but they've got the higher price points, and the other ones are just lower stakes, but I get to do a lot more of them. I that's just how it works. So
Right.
I'll do a couple of the 125 best balls on the FFPC, and just a lot of the smaller tournaments on all the other sites.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not at 5. I'm at 2, but I understand the struggle of trying to do a bunch of fast drafts. It's usually tied to streams. Now that they're a little bit older, I can kind of rock out the fast streams. But yeah, all right. And the last one, if you don't have one on hand, I'll ask a separate question. It is, what is your favorite dad joke?
Okay. So this is the joke that won my wife's heart. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So a guy walks in the doctor's office with a duck on his head. And the doctor says, "What can I do for you?" And the duck says, "Yeah, can you get this guy off my butt?"
Get this guy off my butt. Oh, I got you. There's the ducks on the duck. Who's talking to the duck? I'm slow.
Yes. Do you want me to tell it again?
I think so, because I'm not getting it.
So a guy walks into the doctor's office with a duck on his head. And the doctor says, "What can I do for you?" And the duck says, "Yeah, can you get this guy off my butt?"
It's pretty funny, but I don't get it.
maybe someone in the audience, Best Ball Nation, will get it. My wife. So at the time we had just met. This was like within an hour of us meeting for the first time, and I told that joke. She looked at me and she said, "Shut up. Let's just go back and dance." And the rest was history.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, well, Bradley, I appreciate you coming today. Do you want to do a shout out for your own dad if you want to?
Yeah, shout out to Terry Stalder. He hates the name Terry. He hates Father's Day. He thinks it's a scam. Shout out to him though, because much love. Like my dad is my number one supporter. He's someone that I view as a mentor in a lot of ways. Like I don't have a big brother, and so my cousins oftentimes are those. And so, looking to my uncle and my brother, looking at my uncle and my dad as like, father figures, and my cousin who's like an older brother, like they very much have supported me in my growth. And so I'm very grateful for all of them, because I know how important it is. My dad viewed being a dad, because he lost his dad when he was 16, and so in a very tragic way. And so the loss of that has really been one of the drivers for him as being a good father, and one who really cares deeply about his spending his time with his family, and giving and giving. There's a joke that around our house, inevitably something breaks, and I'm not a super handy guy. My dad's a mechanical engineer by trade. And so he'll try to deduce it and help me out. And it's just not been my thing. Like fantasy football is my thing, but we joke that Pot fixes it, because his nickname is Pot, which is legal here in Michigan, but it's because my oldest daughter couldn't say Pops or Papa, just Pot. So Pot fix it. So shout out to Dad. Shout out to Pops.
All right. We'll be back in just a little
Thanks,
bit.
Felix.
Yo. I'm back with my main guy, Tom, from the other side of the pond. How we doing today, buddy?
Yeah. Just we were just talking, just a whirlwind of parenting today.
yeah, exactly. It's been a lot of fun the last couple of days. All right. So I want to start off with the first question. What has been your favorite dad moment or favorite part about being a dad?
That's a really great question, because there are so many fantastic moments constantly to parenting, whether they're just little minute ones or where they're the big ones. So I work away from home a decent amount of the year. So for me, I always feel like I'm missing certain points, but then they get made up for by the little moments so often. So recently, my youngest daughter, who's 6, had basically a parent workshop at school where they wanted the parents to come in and help the kids build a under the sea diorama. And to me, it just sounded like I've got to give up my afternoon to go into school and craft with my kid. Like, I'll craft with my kid. We craft all the time at home and it's fine, but it's like I'm giving up my day off. I'd only just finished work at the time, and it's like I could be playing Nintendo Switch, I could be drafting best ball teams, but you know, you do it, and it's you can't even argue against it, because particularly in my position where I spend time away from home, I know what it means to my daughter. And I get there, and my daughter's sat next to her best mate. It's absolute hell. There's 4 tables in the school hall just full of kids screaming for their parents to come over, shouting, do this, do that. And I get over to my daughter, and her best mate is sat next to her, and her best mate's mum has forgotten that this is on. So she's sat on her own. And my daughter goes, it's all right. My dad will help you. He's really good at crafting, and he's the funniest man in the world. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I've ever heard her call me that. She'll call me funny. She'll call me, she'll say, you're so funny, daddy. But when she said he's the funniest man in the world in front of other people, it was just like, I'm going to keep that one. I'm putting that in the bank. And then, you've got the much bigger moments, like taking your kids somewhere really special, or doing something like we took ours to Disneyland Paris maybe 18 months ago. So at the time, they were like 5 and 6. And just seeing their face when you walk down Main Street for the first time and you saw the castles when princesses would come by, and it's like they've got exactly what they needed out of this holiday, the most magical experience of their life.
Yeah.
And that's down to hard work from me and their mum. And yeah, so like there's so many things where it's the big things of the little things, but I just try to make the most of any moment which makes me smile when it comes to them.
Yeah, I'm in the same little boat. Like all the little things, it doesn't really, if you say it out loud, sometimes it doesn't make sense to people who don't have kids, but it's everything to us old folk now.
Yeah, and as they get older, it's like it's the moments that as they're getting older, you lose those kind of cuddles and snuggling up that you used to. So then when they,
I don't hear that. Oh no.
I mean, like my eldest, who's 8, she'll snuggle up quite happily now and again, but she doesn't need it as much as the young ones.
Yeah.
So like those moments when they just really snuggle into you, you can't replace that.
Yeah, I woke up this morning. My son just ran up to me. I want to give you a big hug, Dad. I was like, oh man.
I mean, that's like the richest man alive stuff.
Yeah.
Like, who's got it better than you? Like,
yeah. All right. Second question: how do you deal with being a best ball player and being an inclusive dad? So, like, how do you are you a mainly fast draft? Are we doing slows? Are we just doing fast only? And when we can get them done?
So I definitely draft much more fast drafts when I'm working away from home, because when I'm working away from home, finish work 5, 6 p.m. and I'll just be sat in a hotel for the evening. I might just go for a walk, sit down at a pub and draft a couple of teams or something. Or, but when I'm at home, I really struggle to carve out that time, because a lot of the content I do is in the evenings as well. So it's like the kids go to bed, and then I've got content to make. I'm trying to fit all that in. So finding time to fast draft. When it gets to July and August, I will start slamming fast drafts, and I'll do 2 or 3 at a time to make up for it. But generally at the minute, I'm way behind. I'm well off the pace.
Too. Yeah, same.
Yeah. So it's always that kind of juggling. I mean, my thing is that when I do get time, I am going to do 2 or 3 at once. Like I sit down on my computer and I've got 3 screens, and I'll have at least one going on each of them to maximize it. But yeah, I think when they were younger, there was definitely points where I could sit down on the sofa and maybe do a draft, and it was fine because they were playing or whatever. But now as they get bigger, the questions they ask and the things that they want are so much more. They require a big
More-
slice of attention. But it's like I don't like to auto draft picks. I don't like to let any picks slide by without thinking about it. So to me, every pick needs to be thought through. Every pick needs to be decided upon properly. So I would much rather just do my fast drafting when I know I've got time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was almost easier when they were little to do like a bunch of drafts because when my daughter was 1, like feeding
Nap
her was
time.
so simple, and there was always nap time,
All fast draft, easy.
Yeah, easy.
Like-
Yeah, and now that they're a little bit older, it's like, okay, now I got to keep an eye on both of them, and I'm like, okay, I think we're good. So
Yeah, like my daughter's 19 months apart in age. Like I was the hero, the man who stepped up and would be like, right, don't worry, love, I'll take the girls out for a nap, chuck them in the car. They were both young enough to still be napping. Drive out. We live near the sea, so I'd drive down to the coast, sit in a car park, and then just like pull up the phone, do a fast draft, and if one of them started stirring, you just reverse from one side of a car park to the other and then drive back. Snooze. It's perfect. I miss those days, but not enough to have another one.
yeah, I'm good right now. So, all right, the last question is, and we'll kind of, if you don't have one, I have a backup question. Favorite dad joke?
I definitely have dad jokes. This one always makes the girls laugh. So, 2 monkeys in a bath. One says, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." The other says, "We'll put some cold in then."
So the other one knows how to speak monkey, I guess. Okay. Look, Bradley told me a dad joke earlier. I didn't get it, so I need to work on my dad inception of jokes. So that these are pretty good. I need to write these dad jokes down.
The good thing with
ahead.
kids is that it's just toilet humor, just pleases them no end. So it never takes much.
Yes. Did you want to give your own dad a shout out? You don't have to if you don't want to, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, I grew up, my parents separated when I was very young, but like my dad's been massively influential in my life. Like his work ethic, he's a geologist and would take us all over the country on field trips. He was always working hard for that stuff. And as a kid, I never really understood it, but it was only when I kind of got slightly older that I appreciated how much a big part of his work ethic and the extra projects he took on was because he was making sure that my mum was comfortable with looking after the 3 of us. So they come in different shapes and sizes. Not everyone's dad's perfect, but my dad definitely left me with a lot of good values in life.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on, Tom, and sharing your little tidbits. I appreciate it. And until the next guest. All right. We'll see you in a bit. All right, we're back with the man, the myth, the legend, Pete Overzet. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Always nice to have a little change of pace from best ball content and talk dad content. One of my new favorite things these days.
Yes, it's one of something I didn't ever think I'd be interested is just getting to meet other dads because I don't know if I moved away from where I was from, and so I didn't know any other parents. So like meeting other dads and seeing what they're going through is pretty similar to what I'm going through. So it's always been fun to meet other dads. I would like to start with the first question is, what is your favorite dad moment or just something that is like made you excited about being a dad?
Yeah, I mean, I could pull lots of them. I think most recently we take April to this little like kids, gym kind of class each week. And, they all sit in the circle at the beginning and they go around and everyone introduces themselves. And most of the kids, still April's like 17 months right now. And so most of the kids, their parents kind of say their name. But April now, it was a couple months ago, she started saying her name. And that first time in the circle where we went around, they said, "And what's your name?" And I didn't say anything. And she just said April herself. I just like completely melted, as did everyone else in the room. So I still think every time she says her name in like a group setting, it gets me every time.
Yeah, I've had similar things where like, oh, like my son just did something completely by himself, and it hits you in the feels for sure. Like when my son just like graduated kindergarten, I'm like probably like tearing up. I'm like crying like a big ass man, just crying because my son graduated kindergarten. But I get it for sure. That's awesome. Uh, the next question we have here is, how do you deal with being a best ball player and dealing with that, and also still being an inclusive dad? Are you mainly doing fast drafts and doing slow drafts when you're with the family, or how do you approach it?
Yeah, I do. Like, I have made, a pretty big tweak this year. I pretty much only draft for content purposes or cardio club. So obviously on stream, I do my drafts. If I'm like recording a video for the Deposit Kingdom channel, that's a way I can justify it. If I'm doing the cardio club, so I'm on the bike, so I'm kind of multitasking, that's where like 90%, 95% of my drafts have been. Occasionally if like after April's gone to bed and my wife goes to bed early and I just want to do a draft, like maybe I'll squeeze one in like that. But for the most part, I'm trying to not have drafting seep into all of the other corners of my life. Like before I had kids, like I would go to the grocery store or whatever and be like, oh, I'll just draft a team while I'm, doing errands or stuff like that. I don't really do that anymore. And, when I'm playing with April, I'm like, I don't want to be distracted here. And so I basically had to create some guardrails because like anyone watching this, I love drafting teams. I could draft as many as everyone else around here. I could literally draft thousands of teams and probably enjoy it. But just where I'm at now, it's like my volume is going to be a lot smaller. I'll probably only end up doing, 250, 300 teams this year, which still is a lot to any normal person. But within the sickos, it's not that much.
Yeah. The year I won it, or the year before I won it, I did a lot of slows because I had like a newborn with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of slows that year. And then she can kind of handle her own now. So I'm like, okay, we did a lot of fast drafts. And then the year I won it, I did 1,600 drafts, and it was like kind of overwhelming, like to be an inclusive father and still do all those drafts. So I've definitely cut back as well, which again, my cutback is about 600 drafts. And it's like, that's still a lot of drafts I got to kind of, have to do. But
I've said this before too. I am enjoying drafting more this year than I ever have. Like, I don't take any draft for granted. Like when I get to do a draft, I'm like, oh man, this is probably my only draft today. Or like, this is my, when I come off the weekend, like there's a lot of weekends where I don't draft on Saturday or Sunday. And then Monday I have best ball breakfast and I do 4 drafts in a row with guests. And I'm like, I'm so fired up because I'm like, now I get to draft.
Absolutely. All right. And then if you don't have an answer for this one, it's perfectly fine. I have a backup question if you don't. Your favorite dad joke?
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about this one when you sent it over, and I'm definitely a fan of the dumb pun and the dad joke. I will say with April right now, she's just getting super verbal. So I don't know if I have any specific dad jokes that aren't just like random in the moment. But, I'll tell a funny story about April the other day. That was a funny wordplay thing. We'll ask April, like, how big are you? And she'll do this thing where she goes, so big.
We did the exact same thing. That's so random.
Yeah, I think it must just be like a.
Okay.
We do.
She said so big.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we were out with her the other day, and someone had a giant dog. I think it was an actual mastiff. These things are
yeah. Those are big dogs. Yeah.
And so April's going, big dog. And later that night, I asked her, I was like, how big was that dog today, April? And I thought she was going to go so big. And she just looks at me and she goes, too big. And I absolutely died that she like was able to change the modifier to something I've never heard her say. And I'm like, you're right. That dog was too big. And it just absolutely broke me. So now all the time, April and I say to each other, oh, too big.
Awesome. I did put in the questionnaire. Do you want to, or whatnot? Do you want to give a shout out to your pops?
Yeah, for sure. My dad is actually here in Boston this week, staying with us, helping us out with April. And it's been so fun to get to watch him, transition from being a dad to a grandfather. And he's so good at it. And I appreciate him so much. I am, completely inept when it comes to anything handy with all of that stuff. And my dad is just kind of this wizard, do it all, Mr. Fix It, has this engineer mind. And he has helped me out with so many things that I am not manly enough to tackle myself. So happy Father's Day, Dad. Love you and appreciate you.
I appreciate you coming on, Pete. Thank you for telling me your side.